Hi, modern fashion designers. Welcome back to class. This is Modern Woman Apparel. I want to say a very big thank you to all my returning subscribers. And if this is your first time here, well, highly welcome. Please join us by hitting on the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so as to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. So, guys, in today's class, we are going to be doing the overall cutting and sewing of this beautiful pant you see me wearing here. This is a trouser pant with an elastic waistband and two side pockets. The beautiful thing about this class is that we are going to be drafting directly on our fabric, as most of you requested. So, if this looks like what you're here to watch, kindly stay tuned to the end of this video. Meanwhile, we have other tutorials on how to draft on paper. So if you're a pattern drafter, please check the comment section. You'll find beautiful tutorials on how to draft different trouser patterns, high waist and normal waist, that you will enjoy. The reviews are mind-blowing. So thank you so much, and let's dive right into the tutorial of the day. So today's special hug goes to Hawu, and she dropped this comment on our bustier tube dress. She said, "At last, I finally understand bustier. They don't usually mention the overbust circumference, and when I sew, it comes out big. Thank you." Dear Hawu, thank you so much for this review, and thanks for being a part of us. We love you. So my modern people, in today's class, we're going to be learning how to draft a trouser pattern from scratch. Yes, directly on fabric. And we're going to be drafting the front part first, and after that we also draft the back part from scratch, as most of you requested. So here we go. Now you can see this is the front, and you know that when you're cutting a trouser pattern, you need two pieces for the front. That is why my fabric is on fold. Don't mind me, I'm used to pattern. To know the amount of fabric you need, all you need is to place your fabric on fold first, then divide your hip circumference by 4 plus your hip circumference divided by 20 plus extra 2 to 3 inches for seam allowance. So first thing first, I'm going to be taking my allowance. So this is the hem of my trouser. So I'll just come up here by 1.5 for my seam allowance. That's the hemming allowance. So this is 1.5 for my hemming allowance, and from here I'll take the measurement of the trouser. Now remember that we are going to be adding an elastic band to this, right? So the height of my elastic band will be 1.5. I'm making use of 42, so the length of my trouser is 42. So what I'm going to do now is to eliminate 1.5 from this 42. Do you understand? So when I remove 1.5 from 42, so this is 42 here, I'll remove 1.5 from it. So can you see? So that will be the length of my trouser. Can you see? So I have eliminated the length of my band from this. So this is what I'll be working with. So what I'm going to do now is to come in first of all by 1 inch. So just come in by 1 inch here first before taking every other measurement. This is to create room for your side seam allowance. So for us to start, first thing you have to do is to get your crotch depth. And to get your crotch depth, all you need to do is to divide your hip measurement by 4. So my hip circumference is 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. Now I'll place remember we have eliminated 1.5 from here, right? So this is where the point of the 1.5 is. Do you understand? So I'll place my 1.5 on this line here, and I'll bring out the 10.5. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go up from this 10.5. So this is constant. Go up, it works for all sizes. Go up from the crotch depth line by 2 to get your hip line. Now the next thing I'm going to do is the same 10.5 I have here. So that same 10.5, I'm going to put it here. That's the hip divided by 4. So I'm going to put it here. Hip circumference divided by 4. So 10.5, and here 10.5. So what I'll do next is to get my front crotch extension, and to get your front crotch extension, all you need to do is to divide your hip circumference by 20. So 42 divided by 20, that is 2.1. So I'll put my 2.1 here. Can you see? And I'll go from this line here, I'll go out by 0.25 from this line so I can connect my curve. So this is it. Now for the waist, because we're making use of elastic band, we're not going to be imputing the waist circumference. The same thing we have on the hip, we go to the waist length. We go to the waistline. So when we add our elastic band, it's going to bring this part, like shrink this part to meet with our waist circumference. Hope you understand. So what we are now going to do is to get the knee measurement. So I'm going to be placing the 1.5 here to take my knee measurement. So I'm using knee measurement, knee length of 23. I already have my length plus the seam allowance. So guys, now that we have gotten the knee length and of course the length of our trouser, what we are going to do now is to get the crease line. So the crease line helps the trouser to stay in place, like makes it to be straight. Do you understand? So how do we get the crease line? We are going to, from this crotch depth line here, extension line here to this point here, we are going to measure what we have there and get the midpoint of it. 10.5 plus 2.1 is 12.6. So this 12.6, when we divide it by 2, we have 6.3. So I'm going to impute it here, like the center of this. Go to this point here and also on the length. After that, you go ahead and connect the points. So now that we have gotten the crease line, all we are going to do now is to put our new circumference. So the knee circumference I'm working with is 16. So I'm going to divide this 16 by 4. And 16 divided by 4 is 4 inches, right? So from this crease line going to this part here, I will impute 4 inches here. Can you see? And from here going to this part, I will impute the same 4 inches. Now I'll go to the length of this. So if you want a basic trouser, all you need to do is just to rule whatever you have here to this part. So but for this, I'm not using my ankle measurement because I want here to be a bit free. So what I'm going to do is just to remove 2 inches from what I have here. Do you understand? So what I have here is 16 inches, right? The new 16 inches. So I'm going to be removing 2 inches from it and I'll have 14. So 14 divided by 4 is 3.5. So here I'll just impute 3.5. But if you want this part to be fitted, all you need to do is to take your ankle circumference around here. Do you understand? So this is my 3.5 and I'll just connect. Also from the knee to the hip line, and on this very part from the knee to the crotch extension. So we are done with this. All we need to do now is to add our seam allowances. So remember here we are going to add this back to the band. So we add 1/2 inch here on top. So on the add seam, that's the side of the trouser, I'm going to be using 1 inch for my allowance, and on the inseam, that's the center of the trouser, I'm using 0.75. In order for you to avoid confusion, you can use 0.75 on the both sides. Do you understand? So guys, this is it for the front. All we are going to do now is to cut out. Now before we cut this out, please, I would like you to take note of this crease line. You know we have 6.3 here because the same 6.3 that we have on this front side is still what we are going to impute on the back part. So please take note of this 6.3 you have as your crease line. So whatever your own crease line is for the front, please take note of it because it will be the same thing you will impute at the back. So guys, but before we cut this out, we need to do something to this part here. So this side front, we need to elevate it by 1/2 inch. So you can do that before adding your seam allowance because the side is slightly raised. Do you understand? So just elevate here by 1/2 inch. You can do that before adding this your joining allowance, or you just do it this way. It's still the same. Just elevate it and connect it to the center. Can you see? Elevate it by half an inch. Can you see what I've just done? So guys, I've already started cutting when I realized that we did not bring hair down. Remember I said you should elevate here by half an inch, right? So you take here up by half an inch. That's the side front. You take it up by half an inch. Now what you do is to bring down the center front by half an inch. You are taking here up by half an inch and you are bringing here down by half an inch. It helps to eliminate front bulge. Do you understand? So all you need is from this your half an inch elevation to this step down, you connect together this way. Can you see? That means you are reducing here the center front by half an inch. So this is how your front should be. So you can decide to do it before adding your seam allowance. While the line is still straight here, you can elevate and bring down before adding that your half an inch seam allowance, in order for it not to confuse you. So we'll just go ahead and cut this out. So just watch carefully. So this is the front part here. All we need to do now is to cut out the back part. So guys, as you can see, I have put my fabric on fold for the back. So how do you know the amount of fabric to put on fold? So what you have on the front, like the amount of fabric you put on fold for the front, all you need to do is to add 6 to 7 inches to it. So 6 inches is okay. Let's say for example I have the width of what I folded on the front is 15. So what I'll do is just to add 6 to it and it will be 21. Do you understand? So what I'm going to do first of all is to go in here by 3.5. Now what I'm going to do is to start from the length. So remember that we did 1.5 here as our hemming allowance. So this is my 1.5. So from here I'll take my measurement. From the hem I'll take my measurement. So remember I'm working with 42. This is where the 42 is supposed to be, but I'll remove 1.5 from it. You know the 1.5 is for the band, right? So that means that if the length, because for this back here you need extra on top here for the back lift, that means that if your length, the length of your trouser is more than 42, that means that you're not going to be folding it this way. You're going to be using the yardage side as the length. Do you understand? Because this length of the Ankara will not be able to accommodate your trouser. Hope you understand. So after getting the length, the next thing we're going to do is to divide the hip by 4 to get our crotch depth line. So you can see where I placed my ruler, the same thing I did on the front part here. So this is my 10.5 for the crotch depth. And now the next thing to do is to step up by 2 inches for the hip line. And the same 10.5 inches we have, we are going to impute it here, starting from this straight line. You are going to impute the hip circumference divided by 4 all the way from the waistline to the crotch line, and you just connect it this way. Now let's just go ahead and take our knee measurement. So you can see the way I stepped away, starting from the 1.5. So the knee we are working with is 23 inches. So impute your knee length. Also remember the crease line I told you about. I used 6.3. So I'm going to, from this starting line here, this is our starting line, right? So from this starting line here, I'll also impute the same crease line I have on the front, so it will run all the way down. So what we're going to do now is to draft out the back crotch extension. Now before we draft out the back crotch extension, what we're going to do is from this line here, on this crotch depth line, go in by 1 inch. So you go in by 1 inch here. Normally we are supposed to go in here on this waistline by 2 inches, but you know the waistline, we have removed the band from it. It's supposed to have started from somewhere around here. Do you understand? Because we remove 1.5. So now what we are going to do is to go in here by 1.75. Do you understand? So but if you are drafting on paper and you are starting from the actual waistline, all you need to do is to go in by 2 inches. Do you understand? But because we have eliminated something from the waist for our band, here we are shortening it to 1.75. So we'll connect from this 1.75 to the 1 inch. So now that we have done it, we are going to do the back extension because of the butt there. So if you leave it this way, it's not going to accommodate the butt. So we are going to be lifting the waistline of the back. And how do you know the inch to use for the extension? All you need to do is to measure here your crotch extension for the front. So my crotch extension for the front is 2.1. Do you understand? So what I'm going to do now is to lift here by 2 inches. So whatever you have, that is the lift. Now let's say for instance you have somebody that the body just takes all the measurement. The person does not really have butt at the back. All you need to do is to remove 0.5 inch from that 2 inches. Do you understand? But if it is the butt that carries majority of the hip measurement, all you need to do is just to maintain whatever you have there. So here I'm using 2 inches for this, and I'll still extend here up to that 2 inches. Can you see? And here before I connect, so here I'll raise it up. Remember we raised the front by half on the side. So here I will raise it up by half. So what I will do here is to get back what I have from here to here. And from here to here I have 10.5. Remember we are using the hip circumference. So from here I'll measure my 10.5. So this is the point of 10.5 here. Remember I lifted here by 0.5 inch. So this is the point of 10.5, and I'll connect. So now that we have gotten the waistline for the back, all we need to do now is to get the crotch extension for the back. So what we are going to do is to divide the hip circumference by 10. Remember for the front we divided the hip circumference by 20. When you divide 42 by 10, you have 4.2. So from here, this is the center back, no longer this one, no longer this straight one. This is the center back. So from this center back, I'm going to be getting the 4.2, and this is the 4.2 here. Can you see? This is the 4.2 here, and the same way and on the hip line, we'll just go out by the same 0.25, then we'll connect. So just connect it into the line. Don't let it touch here. All you know is that this curve is running to this part, but don't place your ruler this way. Can you see? Don't place your ruler this way. Just let it touch this line and go up. So but all you know is that this curve here is extending to this part. So guys, now that we have gotten the crotch extension for the back, all we need to do is see the way we took the measurement here. So you know here now, the first measurement was here. Now that we shifted the center back, which means that we have eliminated what is here, right? So we have to replace it back. So from here you take back the hip divided by 4, so which is 10.5, and from here also do the same 10.5. Can you see? And you now connect it back into the 10.5 from here to here. Now having done this, all we need to do is to go to the new. Remember we are working with nail of 16. Knee circumference of 16 divided by 4 is 4. So now that 4 inches, because the back part is always wider than the front, the back leg is always wider than the front, all we are going to do is to add 0.5 inch to that 4 inches. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. So this part, this is 4 plus half, that is 4.5. So I'm going to be inputting 4.5 here. On this side I'll still input 4.5. Do you understand? On this part here we use 14. 14 divided by 4 is 3.5. So that 3.5 will add half to it, and that will give us 4. So here we have 4. Here we also have 4 inches, and we'll connect. So the next thing is to connect back from here to this point, no longer to the straight line. And now we connect from here, this back crotch line to here. So guys, you can see this is all for the back. All we need to do is just to add that half an inch here. We have already elevated here by half inch, so add your half an inch here. That is why I told you that if your length is more than 42, then you need to place your fabric the other way. So right now, as you can see, I'm adding my 1 inch by the side like I told you earlier, and on the center here I'm using 0.75. Like I told you, if it's going to confuse you, just use 0.75 on the two sides. This is it for the back. All we need to do is to cut it out. So this is the back, and we have the front. I told you earlier that we are going to be adding two side pockets, so we are going to remove the back part and we are going to start working on the front. Now, first thing you have to do is to determine how wide you want the pocket opening to be. So from this seam allowance here, can you see, from this 1 inch seam allowance, I'll just go in by 2 inches, and from here I'll come down by 7.5 inches. So remember, we are taking half inch here. That means my pocket opening will be 7 inches. So this is it. So from here I'll just connect. Remember, I'm doing this to the side, not to the center. Connect this way. Connect this way. Do you understand? So we need half an inch. So all you need to do after this connection is to come in here again by half an inch. This is to join the pocket together this way. Can you see? So all I'm going to do now is to determine how deep. So from here, from this first one, I'll come down by 4.5. So this is 4.5. I'll just make a mark there. And from this one, this is the original line. Remember that this is the seam allowance. From there, I'll go in by 4. So I did from here 4 and from here 4.5. So what we are going to do is to place our pocket and cut. So to cut your pocket, all you need to do is to get 4 pieces of your pocket parts. 2 for the pocket bag and 2 for the pocket facing. So what I'm going to do, so you can see this is 4 pieces, right? So what I'm going to do is to place it here this way. So the essence of first marking all these on the trouser pattern is to know, so that you will know the amount of fabric to cut for the pockets. So can you see what I have here? What I'm going to do is to cut here this way. Cut the upper part. Can you see? So I'll measure from here to what I have here, to this mark I have here. So I have 7.25, right? On this part I have 7.25. And here, from here to this mark I have here, I have 12 inches. Here, 7.25, here 12 inches. So what I'm going to do is to remove this. And here I'll get the 7.25. This is the 7.25 and the 12 inches. So this is the 12 inches here. So I'm going to make a mark there, this way and this way. Can you see? And I'm going to cut out. I will take out 2 and notch these parts for 2. So when I notch this part, I know it is the part that is coming to this side. Do you understand? It is this part here that's my side front. So I notch my side front, the waistline of my side front, so that I don't mistakenly misplace them. Do you understand? The waistline of my side front. So what I'm going to do is to, this other 2 that is remaining now, I'll place it back here this way. Then I'll cut out with this one, with this trouser pattern. So I'm going to cut out from here. Can you see? So this is it. So next thing we are going to do now is to start sewing. Do you understand? So we'll cut out the band later. That one is just one straight something unfold. So guys, we are done cutting. The next thing we are going to do now is we are going to go over to the sewing machine. I'll just use my machine to show you how to attach the pockets. So remember, you have two of these parts and you also have two of these parts. Do you understand? So let's go to the sewing machine. Let me show you how to attach it to the front part. So guys, to join this, the first thing you're going to do is to bring one of the front parts. Now this is the crotch side, you know it's deeper, right? And this is the pocket side. So this is the pocket side. Can you see? So what we are going to do now is to bring one of these and attach. So match it with it, right side facing each other. Can you see? And we are going to stitch it with 1/2 inch. When you get to this point, all you need to do is to notch here. See this curved part here? Just give it a notch, then push this to this side. So the seam allowance is going towards the pocket part. Do you understand? So we are going to top stitch very close to the first joining. So making sure that your seam allowance is on the pocket side. Do you understand? So after stitching, this is what you have. Now you need to take one of these. Can you see? So remember, we notch the waistline, the side of the waistline. This side front now will be inside like this. Like this notch part will be this side. It will not be here. This way. And so we are sewing. So we are stitching here and here, just like an L shape. So guys, can you see? So this is it. All you need to do is see here. Can you see how it is? See here. You move it back. Move it back this way. When you get to the edge of it, you hold it. From that edge, you bring this one forward. Can you see what I have? Move the first one that you stitch inside, and from that inside, bring out the second one that you stitched. So this is how to stitch your pocket. Can you see? So use a top stitch to hold here. So after stitching this part, all you need to do is come to this side and align it properly with the side front this way. Just align it and also use a top stitch to hold here. This is the outside. So what I'm going to do now is to complete the other one and we'll continue. Stitch the first pocket, and after you've done that, the next thing will be to notch the curved part. After notching, you top stitch, making sure that your seam allowance is facing the pocket side. So after top stitching, you place the other pocket, the other piece of the pocket right side facing each other with the first pocket that you stitched. Can you see? And you sew. So you stitch it like an L shape. Just watch carefully. It's very simple and easy. So stitch this side first and go to this side just like an L shape. Can you see? So this is all you need to do. So can you see what I have? Then you move this part. You see what I have? See the first one that you stitched, you move it inside the trouser. Can you see? Move it inside the trouser. Then the second one that you stitched, you bring it out. use a top stitch. Now the next thing you're going to do after the pocket is to join the crotch. So you're going to face the two front parts right side facing each other, and you're going to be using your seam allowance to join it. So for me, thankfully I still have my seam allowance there, so I'm just going to follow the line. So you're joining only the crotch. Do you understand? So you also bring the back part this way. So this is the back part, right side facing each other, and you join the crotch. So from here to here, can you see? So guys, this is it for the back. The next thing you're going to do is to join the sides. So you bring the front and the back and join the two sides. So place the front and the back right side facing each other this way. So right side facing each other, and you're just going to join the sides with your 1 inch. So whatever seam allowance you leave there, you join. You can also decide to measure like this to measure your hip measurement, and whatever you have as the extra, you share it between the two sides. Do you understand? But for me, I'm just going to go ahead and join with this my 1 inch. So after joining this part, you also go ahead and join these other parts here. So we already have the markings there. All we need to do is just to follow it. So guys, we're done joining the sides. As you can see, can you see the sides? So all we need to do now is just to join. So in trouser, the sewing is not difficult. It's not even up to, it won't even take you up to 10 minutes. It's the drafting that is the deal. So once you're just able to draft, the other things are just very easy. So all you need to do is to bring these two parts. So if you want, you can first weave all of this, and before you join this part, or you can weave after sewing, but it is neater when you weave before as you sew you weave. So what I'm going to do is just to pin here down. See this crotch, I opened the seam line, so I'm going to pin it down. Can you see? I'm going to start stitching with my 0.75. So when you look at this, you find out that the back part is wider, right? So all you need to do is to, when you are joining, you align. So push the back part in this way to align with the front, and you join. So I'm going to be using my 0.75 to join the sides. Remember, whatever you add when you are drafting, that is what you will use to stitch it when you are stitching it. So as you join it, when you get to the crotch line, all you need is to back stitch it in order to hold it firm from ripping. So guys, as you can see, we are done. The next thing we are just going to do now is to attach our band. So let's go back to the cutting table. So guys, you can see what we have here after joining. So this is our pocket looking so pretty. Now the next thing we have to do is to join our elastic band. So what I have here is 2 inches on fold. Remember that the band, we subtracted 1.5 from it. So 1.5 plus half inch for joining, that is 2 inches on fold. And the width of the band is going to be your hip measurement plus 1. So the hip circumference I'm working with is 42. 42. So I'm going to be adding 1 to it, and that will give me 43. So I'll just cut out 43 here. This is 42 here. So I need half inch on both sides to join the band, because we are going to be using half inch to join the band. Half inch on both sides is 1 inch, and that is 43. Do you understand? So what I'm going to do now is to go over to the machine, and I'm going to measure this right side facing each other this way. Can you see? Right side facing each other this way. And I'm going to stitch with half an inch. So after joining, this is what I have. What I'll do is to fold it back, like put it back on fold this way. Then take it to my ironing table and iron it properly. Do you understand? So after ironing, what I'm going to do is to attach it on the waistline here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So guys, as you can see, I have joined the band. So what is left is for us to insert it. So you leave a little opening. So you can see I have a little opening here. So I'll be passing the elastic through this opening, and after that I'll seal it up. Do not forget to hem. Do not forget to weave all the raw edges. I've also gone ahead to hem the down part. Remember, we added 1.5 inches on the down part, so I use that 1.5 inches to hem the down part. Now for this pocket here, you can see the shape of my own pocket, right? So you can decide that when you are making yours, you don't want to go curve your own this way. You can decide to just slant it. Do you understand? You can decide to slant it. Just be creative around here. It depends on what you want. So for this class, I used 3 yards of African print, and you can see what is left of my 3 yards. So guys, I'll just go ahead and insert my elastic. I'm working with waist circumference of 33, so I'm using 23 inches as the circumference of the elastic. And after that, I'll give this a good press, wear it one more time for you to see it. So guys, this is what we have. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so. I'll see you in my next tutorial. A model woman. Bye for now.